The 40 Lessons Podcast is a Shining Starlet Entertainment production.
Time for another week of life, love, and everything in between on the 40 Lesson Podcast. Welcome to the 40 Lesson Podcast, where we talk about life, love, and everything in between. Man, we're so excited to be with you today. I'm sitting here with my lovely co-host.
Hello, everyone. Tori here. Nice to see you. Nice to hear you.
It's your boy Dumisani, a.k.a. 40 Lessons. I was making sure, I was letting her finish because we was having a little fun earlier before the show.
You're so petty.
I'm petty as hell.
But
we was having a little, we go right into This Is America segment. We're going to move what we're going to talk about for a moment and talk about this thing. Black man, I want you to have a serious moment with me here. I want you to stop interrupting people, okay? Me and Tori was having this conversation earlier where I don't think y'all know y'all out there interrupting people. Stop interrupting people, especially women. Let them finish their thought before you go running your big mouth about something. Ain't that right, Tori?
I would not have put it in those terms because, when we start telling folks they have big mouths, they tend to stop listening to us.
They do.
Especially men.
Oh, wow. See that? Y'all saw that shade came through the sun changed for a moment?
Make note of that first interruption. Did you notice that? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
See, what we call back and forth. But we wanted to give you a prime example of what that looked like. The boy is smart. He's born that boy wasn't born that last night. It might have been that night.
At night, but not last night.
You like that, didn't you? You gotta give him something on that one. Amen. All right.
Amen.
Nah, this was good though. That's why men and women need to spend good platonic time together so that they can get better understanding of each other without the emotions and stuff involved. That's why it was really important for me to have a woman on the set. To be honest with you, I wanted to have balanced conversations. Yeah. I didn't want a perspective that was just a man's perspective. I wanted to make sure that there was a woman's perspective at the table because I'm not always right.
Well, that's true.
And I absolutely know that that's true. So I wanted to make sure that there was someone there to either say, well, how about we look at it this way,
Absolutely. I mean, none of us are always right, So this is where diversity becomes really important. This is actually a part of the business case for diversity, that we are able to broaden our ideas. We're able to basically make more money because we're bringing more thought to the table. We're thinking about things in a very different way. So that's actually a part of the business case for diversity.
Hey, listen, and I'm all for everybody making their coins wherever they can.
Exactly.
Because one day I'm going to have a mate and I need her to make as much as possible so we can live as well as we possibly can live together.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got one more thing we're going to talk about in This Is America today.
Well, there's so much happening in the world today.
But
so
what's the one thing that really got your fancy going this morning, though?
I won't say that it has my fancy going. I will say, though, that it's troubling to me, this whole situation with your boy from the Chi.
Oh, no boy of mine. I don't have no friends in Chicago. No, I'm not gonna do Chicago like that.
No, I love Chicago.
But he's no friend of mine. But Robert seems a little bothered this morning.
He seems a little verklempt this morning, just a bit.
Just a bit, tad bit of smidget.
Just a
brought
smooch.
the brother to tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out what he mad about.
Well, apparently he's being persecuted, based on at least what I saw with Gail King. He appears to feel persecuted. He feels like he's being picked on. He feels like there is sort of a conspiracy going on that women who don't know each other have all come together and have created this narrative about him being this monster. Well, he actually said Lucifer.
Wow.
In the interview, he used the word Lucifer.
That's what he referred to himself as?
Well, he said that people are painting him as if he is a monster, as if he's Lucifer.
Oh, has nothing to do with the people that he's trapped in the closet and all that, right?
No, apparently not.
Okay.
He is suggesting that.
I'm just saying.
I can't.
I'm just saying. Is that not what happened?
He talks about that, and he basically sort of tries to take this common sense approach, where he's like, R. Kelly or Robert Kelly put women in the closet, tied them to beds, refused to feed them, and you think that nobody would ever know. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? That would make me seem really stupid. So that was his defense.
Which is what all of us were saying, that we believe you did some of this. It seems really stupid. Why would you do this stuff? And especially with underage children, and the McDonald's camera got you sitting in front of the McDonald's waiting on the kids to come from high school and get them some cheeseburgers. So I don't understand where the confusion lies. But hey, as I do for everybody.
That's what delusion looks like, though.
He is very delusional. And we're going to hold R. Kelly up in prayer.
Are we?
Well, that's what people supposed to do, right? Supposed to pray for everybody.
I don't should or suppose on people.
Okay,
so.
Well, listen. Somebody, the daycare lady, got R. Kelly up in prayer clearly because she put her whole business on it.
I don't know if that's up in prayer so much as it is
foolishness. Okay, yeah, exactly. So, it's sad.
If folks, I want to be clear though, if folks want to pray for R. Kelly,
go ahead.
If that
and pray
is
for
the
him.
Christian way.
Amen.
Listen, go right on ahead and pray for him. Will I pray for him?
Just keep your daughters away from him while you're praying.
Because I won't pray for him.
Yeah, and
I'm going to be real clear about that.
I wouldn't close your eyes if he in the room. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm too old for him.
Oh,
so
no, not from the.
He likes all women.
He does. If you might be too smart for him. I won't go with too old.
Listen,
you got common sense and will speak up for yourself. That may be an issue. Well, I don't think age is a problem.
It's not a common sense thing, though. It is a voice thing.
You know what?
That's
fair. That's fair because those women are very smart in their own right. Mm-hmm. These were not dumb cookies when you look at the profile or the resumes of the women that, one was a radio host, one owned a business and things of that nature, and somehow got emotionally trapped and lost all self-esteem and whereabout of mental prowess with this man. I mean, so it's
a very specific,
interesting.
It is. The human behavior fascinates me, but it is a very specific sort of prescription or formula that can be used in order to manipulate someone when you are used to being abusive, being the abuser. There is a certain there's a formula that's used, and it's a separation and then degradation, kind of thing. So I separate you from the people that all of your attachments, things that are normal to you. So people who would support you, who love you, who tell you good things, who look out for you. I separate you from them either by lying or manipulation, or I might even entice you with money or other resources.
Absolutely.
And then when I get you alone, I isolate you, then I start the degradation. I start to humiliate you. Mm-hmm. I start to embarrass you.
All right.
I start to tear you down. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, in this sort of strange and very interesting way, I become the only thing that you can attach yourself to.
Absolutely.
So when people start talking about why do women not leave, and I say women because most of the time it's women who are being abused. That is not to suggest that men are not.
Absolutely, because they are.
Because they absolutely are. Mm-hmm. I've actually seen it. So when women are often in these situations and people say, why didn't they just leave? There is a process that exists here. It is psychological in nature. So I just always like for people to think about that before they start, because it's sort of insensitive, I think.
Absolutely, and we don't really want to be that to the women,
right?
Because it's nothing cute about what transpired with them, and it was very I like how eloquently you put everything and kind of. It's good the way you laid it out, because they give people another perspective, because they documented it just that way in the documentary. It talked about, a lot of the psychologists on the show talked about that very thing, that he had this process and the process was repetitive, and pretty soon the process was taught to the victims, and the victims were able to give the process over again in place of him. He didn't even have to be there. He had a assembly line going on with some of his women that was already involved in his perpetrating, so it's sad. It's actually sad that so many women, because if one had to endure it, that was too many. So the fact that so many women have had to endure this lifestyle and this treatment from him, is very sad, and hoping that they'll get some justice soon, which is what they're looking for.
Hopefully.
So, I know he feels that he's being treated unjust, but those on the other side are hoping to see some form of justice. And we're gonna keep people abreast. We're gonna, the 40 Lessons Podcast gonna keep their eye on it. We always want to let you know what's going on in America.
Yeah, his hysterics and dramatics. We're gonna keep them abreast of his hysterics.
Right. We don't care nothing about them tears. So
please believe we don't.
we are not worried about that.
Please believe.
40 Lessons, a coach for life. For life coaching services, contact Dumisani Solwazi at thereal40lessons@gmail.com. That's thereal40lessons@gmail.com.
I cannot with our notes.
It's funny we was just talking about that type of situation, because our topic today, when it all falls apart. Situations like that, it kind of segues us perfectly into that. Let's talk about when it all falls. And now let's be clear to people. We can put this in a job perspective, family perspective, and all that. But let's talk about what people like to talk about. Love. Let's just talk about what they like to talk about. We're gonna talk about when it all falls apart in love. Now, just so y'all know, we're gonna be doing a 4-part series called Adulting 101. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some crucial things that happen when you're adulting. One of the things is when it all falls apart. We're going to talk about the acceptance of that. We're going to talk about closure, starting over. And then the most important thing that I think in this series that we want to give people is, what did I learn?
It's always, what did I learn?
Because if you don't learn something, you're more likely going to repeat this hurtful process again.
Without a doubt. So
this evening we start with when it all falls apart.
When it all falls apart.
Tell me about it, Tori. Talk about it when it all falls apart.
Things fall apart. So, of course, we could talk about, the genesis of a thing. And there are many reasons why relationships ultimately come to their demise. And I think that for each of those situations, there's a potential response to that. But what we know at the core, what ultimately happens is that someone is devastated. Someone is emotionally broken. Someone is sad.
Absolutely.
Someone detaches. And then, in some instances, destructive behavior starts.
And when you say destructive behavior, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
How destructive?
Gosh.
And what forms does the destruction come?
Oh, wow.
And is this a gender-based destruction?
I think that there might be specific types of, I think there are subsets under overarching kinds of destructive behaviors that could be attributed to one gender or another, but self-harm is often a destructive behavior. And under the umbrella of self-harm could be actual physical self-harm. That tends to, if I'm not mistaken, happen more with women than it does with men. Self-harm could also come in the form of narcotizing oneself. So the drinking, the sex, the drugs. Also, the eating eating one's feelings.
Well, let's break a couple of those things out. So you said you gave some heavy things in that example. So the destruction of oneself sometimes, or the harming of oneself, is that usually, now we're not saying this only happens with women, but we're saying we probably see it more in women is what we're saying.
I think we pay attention.
We pay attention to it more than women because it's expected. That's funny how society kind of expects one gender to do something. We need to talk about that one day. We will. So with that happening, is she hurting herself for attention? Is the hurt of herself to get him to come back? What happens in the moment that person is hurting themselves? What do you expect to gain when you're hurting yourself?
So just, I want to be real clear. I am not a therapist. I just want to be very clear on that point, just in case someone is listening and they might be in a space or a place where this could, one way or the other, influence them.
Absolutely.
I will say, being a person, though, who has done self-harm as a result of the demise of a relationship.
Absolutely.
I think that there's a a scale or there's a, I don't know if a scale is the right word I want, but I think that initially you do some things to get the attention of the person that you no longer have. I think you will perhaps drink a lot. You may even act out in ways that, you might be in the same space with them and you act out in ways, yada, yada, yada.
That would
so
look strange
initially,
to them.
yeah. So it's to get that initial response from them. But then I think there's a point in the grieving process where you understand that, okay, this person is truly not interested, which usually sends you spiraling down a little bit more, because now you're like, that one person is no longer even interested, in addition to the fact that you don't have them anymore, in addition to the fact that you feel hurt, in addition to the fact that you feel perhaps not valuable or worthy anymore.
Wow.
So then the self-harm sort of escalates, and it becomes a way to cope. It becomes a way to remove the hurt. That's where the narcotizing. So when people eat their feelings, they're narcotizing themselves against facing pain or difficult situations.
And not just eating their feelings, but you mentioned drinking. And when you said sex, you mean like having sex with random people?
Indiscriminate sex. Yes.
Wow. And just, I'm going to the club tonight. This guy gonna get it. Oh, well. But
I think men tend to perhaps do that more than women do.
I would agree with that. You hurt a dude and the first thing he gonna do is go, well, most dudes, not saying that I may or may not have ever had this type of behavior long time ago, as I always tell everybody, new days these days for Mr. 40
I
Lessons.
hope so.
Absolutely.
For all of us.
Absolutely. Change behavior
Yes.
is the theme for 2019.
Yes.
So, but I'm saying, we've all had them friends, and I'm a guy, and I've had guy friends that, the dude get his feelings hurt, but of course we don't express our feelings and emotions being hurt in a proper format sometimes. And
some of you, yes.
Some of us, it's a learning curve. Men have to learn to get to that level of vulnerability. One of my goals is to help guys get better at getting to that level of vulnerability. Absolutely, because it was a role for me, so I know it's a role for somebody else. But my point is that yes, you take this strange behavior out by I'm just gonna not care about whoever. If she willing, I'm willing. I ain't gonna call her tomorrow and all that. So with that dangerous behavior happen, where does the dust settle? When do you eventually hit, as they call, I was watching Shameless, and there was an episode when a scene where Lip was like, Fiona had hit rock bottom. And he was like, we can't help her until she just hit rock bottom. Is the falling apart, when it all falling apart, do it just need to hit rock bottom for you? And what did rock bottom look like for you to finally say, okay, this is enough?
I think that oftentimes for love that is that sort of pervasive love that insinuates itself into every part of you, I think when it ends, and especially if it ends in a way that was not favorable, and what I mean by that is someone cheated or someone just decided they didn't want to be with you anymore, it wasn't like a mutual parting of ways, I think you do have to hit rock bottom.
Wow.
Rock bottom, of course, looks different for each of us because it depends upon our level of self-awareness, right? Some people's rock bottom is they cry. They might overeat a little bit. They go work out and boom, they're good. Other people, it might be a series of, all of those kinds of things. And then finally they go to therapy and decide, okay, now it's time to do different. For me, rock bottom came, after a series of at home, drinking a bunch of wine, crying, and writing in my journal, and then going to therapy. So my book actually is a result of a breakup in part. Okay. And so a lot of the entries in the book are directly from my journal that I wrote at that time. Okay. So that was very therapeutic for me, in addition to going to therapy. So for me, that was the entire process.
Right. And we're going to make sure y'all have information on how to get Tori's book as well. And that's funny you say that, because I actually, 40 Lessons started from my last divorce. That pretty much catapulted what became the 40 Lesson book, what became the 40 Lesson life coaching, what became where we sitting at now, which is the 40 Lesson podcast. Yes. And we say that to say that good things can be birthed out of pain, and I think people don't even understand that sometimes, that even though something can be so treacherous to your heart, and could really break you down and humble you in ways that you know. I always tell folks, never say what you won't do.
Please believe it.
Because let me tell you about this girl named Love. She is off the hook.
Well, it's not love, though.
What? It's gotta be love. She don't love nobody. That's what the song said.
It's not love. We say a lot of these things in the name of love. I think we mislabel and misrepresent love all the time.
So you telling me love is an angel?
I'm telling you that love is. Think about the way that love is defined.
Let's talk about it.
Think about the way that love is often talked about in poetry and prose. Think about the love that's talked about in religion. Love is not this malicious force. It's not love that hurt you. It's not what happened.
It's the person.
Delusional behavior, romanticized, ideals, unrealistic ideals, a lack of self-awareness, selfishness, being with someone that you had no business being with.
Amen.
Those are the things that hurt you. Love didn't do that.
Listen, I tell it's so funny. I've had guys tell me in a couple of counseling sessions that she tricked me. And I'd be like, oh, did she? I'm like, well, tell me how she tricked you. I'm curious on how she tricked you. And they'll tell me the story. And I hear the story, and I'm attentive and listening. I'm waiting for the trick. I'm waiting for the trick.
I'm waiting for the dude.
And then when he get done, I'm like, oh, that's it? I'm like, oh. So let me get this straight. You assume some things about her situation when you met her that wouldn't change. You didn't ask deeper questions to find out if she had different hopes, dreams, and aspirations. When y'all got married and those hope, dreams, and aspirations wanted to find soil to be birthed in, all of a sudden now that don't fit with the life plan you put in your head for y'all that you in turn have not spoke with her about.
Right.
And so now you think this woman is losing her mind and going crazy and she tricks you. Oh, that's how that works. Okay.
That's how it works.
I had to kindly reframe their way of thinking to saying, listen, you can't be upset with her for questions you didn't ask because she's living out her life plan as what this was in her heart. That's why it's coming out. I said, and just like whatever's in your heart gonna come out, and it's up to two adults to have that conversation about it.
Why? No, nobody wants to deal with conflict. We don't want to deal with. This is why I say it's not love. It's this idealized version of people that we have. We have pedestaled people in such a way. So I don't want to have that conversation because if I have that conversation, guess what I'm going to find out? I'm going to find out something. I'm going to hear something I don't want to know.
It's going to make me uncomfortable.
It's going to make me accountable. It's going to make me accountable. And I don't want to be accountable.
Why not? But isn't that why the fall hurts so much? Is because I don't want to be accountable?
I think that's a huge part of it.
So why are we so scared? Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's fear to a degree. Why are we so scared to get involved in the ugliness of the person that we want to love?
Because nobody wants to sign up for ugly.
But everybody has ugly.
I know.
That's the part that trips me out. I'm like,
but what did I just say?
Nobody's perfect.
But what did I just say? We have this idealized. Listen, I cannot tell you, and it's funny, I write about this. I cannot tell you the number of times that I was involved with a man, seriously involved, even not so seriously involved. I was made out to be this sort of angel. Like, Tori is so sweet. She's so this. She's so that.
Has he seen your Facebook? No, I'm just playing.
Why are you such a hater? You are such a hater. You are such a hater.
I'm joking.
Full hate mode today. Full hate mode
Petty,
today.
never hate.
Well, it's the same thing. They're synonymous. They are synonymous.
If one sounds better.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But go ahead.
Go on with your semantics.
He made you out to be an angel.
But yeah, like, Tori would never. She's so sweet. She's so this, and she's so evolved and communicative, and blah 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 blah. So when I made a mistake, right,
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that I don't possess flaws.
Absolutely
It doesn't mean
not.
that, although I am communicative, it doesn't mean that sometimes I too fear communicating in a certain way in a relationship. And so when it came, it was sort of this like dually kind of devastating blow, like. Not you, of all people, because I had been pedestaled. There had been this idealized version of Tori versus the real Tori, who was very flawed. And so I have to deal with that sort of fantasy being broken apart, but also deal with the actual relationship breaking apart.
Wow. And so you had two things breaking at the same time.
Several things, actually.
Wow. And that made it even more complicated.
Yes. And difficult.
Because a part of you got caught up in the pedestal, though, right? Being put up on.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that happens
Absolutely.
too, right? So it's like he wrong for putting you there, but
yeah.
then at some point you get used to this and like,
because it had happened so much.
I'm gonna float here and be here.
This must be who I need to be.
This must be what
I'm like.
I'm the Duchess of Duke now.
I need to be this person.
Exactly.
So I must be. I'm like, let me be poised. Let me be this. Let me be this angelic spirit. And so when people would hear not so angelic kinds of things coming from me, it's like, what's wrong, Tori? Are you okay? Is everything good? And I'm like, no, this is actually who I am. But people wouldn't allow me that space to be, so I would hide it further. I would push it down further. And then it comes out in these inopportune times.
And sometimes in rage.
I have never really, I have experienced rage.
Oh, okay.
But I have very few times. It comes out in for me.
And maybe rage wasn't the right word, but I'm saying it can be an explosion.
It's a vindicate. I have been known to be very vindictive.
Wow. No.
And manipulative. So it would come out in those ways.
A woman being that? No.
I promise you. I promise you. If you want to do this, we can do this. If you want to do stereotypes, we can do it. I got all that.
No, I don't want no trouble.
I got all that.
I don't want no trouble.
And I got all the words.
I don't want no trouble.
Okay.
No, I don't want no trouble. I was just saying. I just thought that was funny. That's all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But, and when it took you to that place, I'm sure you hated it.
No, I didn't hate it.
You enjoyed it?
Yes.
Thank you for admitting that you enjoyed
I'm an adult.
the place that you were.
I'm an adult.
And you knowingly knew what you did too, didn't you?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I had been
Now,
planning
did you
it.
I knew you thought it out. That's what I was just about to say. Was it premeditated? I knew it was premeditated.
I think there's a difference between premeditated and plotting, in the sense, and only in the sense that premeditation suggests that despite you not doing anything, I just decided I wanted to plan to do something. It was never that. It was always, and I'm not suggesting that this is okay
at all,
but it was usually it was in response to something like you. So there was this sort of this whole go with the flow kind of situation, right?
Right.
And so the flow, of course, is undefined, and that's actually the very nature of the thing. And I would make assumptions, he would make assumptions. My assumptions didn't match up with his, and so when I found out, I'm like, "But you told me yada yada yada." Then he would out and out lie. So this is where we've got a problem. The assumptions part I can deal with.
Because we lying about something we don't even need to lie about.
Exactly.
Because it ain't no situation here in which you have any obligation to, so why are you even wasting your time lying to me?
But you lied.
So now I'm pissed off at the lie.
Oh, I'm beyond pissed off. Lying is a thing for me.
See, fellas, that was a key point I just gave you. I hope you was taking notes.
Major key.
That was a major key your boy 40 just dropped on you.
Yes.
Don't lie. If it ain't no official arrangement, just tell the truth.
Even if it is an official arrangement. Right,
we shouldn't be lying, period.
Truth is always going to win, because this is the thing. This is at the crux of people avoiding conflict. We don't want to deal with the ugly stuff because it's right in front of us and
Absolutely.
It's ugly. But what we don't get is that if you wait, it's a snowball. Conflict is a snowball.
Absolutely.
So you got this small little snowball here.
Mm-hmm.
If you wait, it just grows, and then it grows. And then before you know it, you've got 5 additional situations to deal with, when really you only had one that you had to address in the beginning.
It gets out of hand. Absolutely.
So that's what happens. I get vindictive, and then I do things because you lied, and the things weren't nice.
And then that really ends it all.
No, because Tori is angelic. Tori is sweet.
What?
I must have pushed Tori to that point. I'm sorry, Tori.
So you scared the boy back with going over the line almost.
No, I didn't scare him. But again,
he took ownership of the moment.
He had created this imagery about me. And so
I need to get her back to what I know she can be.
Back to the good girl.
And you was ready to be the good girl.
I was ready to win.
So at that point, it became about victory.
Yes.
It what? Lord have mercy. Mm-hmm. Boy, I'm uncovering some of the national treasures that y'all didn't even know existed. Y'all gonna owe your boy a Christmas present. I'm telling you, this is good information. So At that point, it wasn't about being right. It was about winning.
Which is right.
Okay, we gonna talk about that later. I don't believe that's true, but we'll roll with that. We'll roll with that. So, and this is what this is why, when I thought about this topic, I was just kind of like, this is all the foolishness that goes on when it's falling apart. Because, and the whole point of helping you to understand or trying to paint this picture for people is to let you know how crazy it looks. Mm-hmm. And that you get yourself caught up in this spiral of craziness. Mm-hmm. And you come outside yourself. Mm-hmm. You stop being the person that you are. Mm-hmm. And you really lose some respect in some areas and how you go after these things.
Absolutely you do.
And what I'm trying to help you to understand is if there's a little bit more truth up front, mm-hmm. if you're willing to deal with some ugliness, mm-hmm. if you're willing to be transparent mm-hmm. versus honest, just not having to be pulled for information all the time. If you're just transparent with each other, if it does have to fall apart, the fall won't be so far.
Agree.
And it won't be ugly.
I agree with that.
It could be done in a mutual, respectful manner.
Yes.
That both parties can agree upon.
Yes.
And maybe even still be friends.
And it's very possible.
Imagine that.
I am actually in that situation now. I have an ex-fiance, and because here's the thing that always sort of strikes me is, again, in the name of love, we say we do these things, but how can you claim to love someone and then try to devastate or destroy them in such a way after?
Exactly.
So something is incongruent, right? Either you're a liar, you were lying, or you're lying now. Something just doesn't add up. And I get hurt and grief causes us. It sort of evokes these things in us, usually as a result of jealousy and insecurity and yada, yada, yada. But you can't really say that you love someone and then turn around and hurt them in that way.
It's funny. In 40 Lessons, there's a chapter called Let's Just Be Friends. And I talk about how those 4 words are the biggest lie I ever told. Because that rarely transpires in that way when the love ends. Most of us can count on our hand the friends that we got left from some of those very serious romantic situations. That's good. That was good. I found out some things, some things that the FBI may want to know, but no.
I am an open book. All you have to do is ask.
I'm joking.
But I think that's the critical part of growth is we come to a point where, and I still work on this because I say to people all the time, all you have to do is ask a question. I will absolutely tell you the truth, but it's got to be the right question. I'm working on that.
And I've got to a place to where I'm learning the right questions to ask, and which is even more important.
Absolutely.
So it's that effective communication requires several things.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people don't really understand just the very interworkings of what it is to be an effective communicator and an effective listener. Because if you're listening effectively, it will give you some of those questions that you need. Because somebody will say something, you'll be like, oh, let's talk about that more. Let's see where that road leads.
Say something.
Or they won't say something, and that will tell you a whole lot too. Especially if you asked a question and you didn't get the appropriate response to what you were asking.
Gail asked R. Kelly a question, and I'm trying to remember what it is, but he never actually. I think she asked him. She said, "So did you sleep with underage women?"
Right.
With underage girls or women, and she said, "Is it true that you slept with underage women?" And he said. He sort of responded.
But then he went into the hysterical, they trying to trap me and y'all trying to take my life thing.
His response was
I can't see my kids and start talking about all that.
His response was, they are lying.
Right.
So he never actually answered the question that she asked. His response was, they are lying. He never said yes or no until she drilled down and drilled down and drilled down.
Well, that's an old media technique. When somebody asks you a question that you don't want, talk about something that you want to talk about. Hey, what color is that? Man, it's Tuesday. Let me tell you about Tuesday.
Or have an emotional experience.
Right. You go into something left field.
Classic deflection.
Man, that was good conversation. I appreciate that. That was
it was good.
Some great information,
man.
No,
I feel like it was fairly one-sided, but we'll get to you.
One-sided? Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
My feelings are valid. They aren't good or bad. They just are.
Fellas, man, y'all better be listening to these setup questions that happen, man. These phrases will get you caught up. Listen, the emergency hotline is 1-800-40-LESSONS. When these things are said to you in the house and you don't know what's going on, just call your boy. I'll walk you through it. It may require for you to get to the nearest exit as soon as possible. We'll get
Maybe
you there.
Should call me, actually.
We'll make you there.
Me.
The 40 Lessons podcast is executive produced by Shining Starlet Entertainment. For production consults, go to www.shiningstarlet.com.
I guess the 40 lesson moment, I give people.
Okay, all right.
Since, you know,
it was a great conversation.
Right, we was moving on through that one, you know. So when I think about the 40 lesson moment, man, you know, one of the things that I thought about when I was thinking about that, you know, was just because the world you knew ended, it don't mean that you do as well. And I think that's where people get lost at sometimes. We get, you know, it goes back to what you were saying, Tori. You was talking about how we get so entrapped in that world and we start fantasizing in these dreams and these ideas of what this could be with this person, and we put together this life in our head, and all we doing is trying to pass through these days so we can see this life come to pass. And, you know, we posting these pictures on social media, we adding to the pressure, and we out here showing all these dates that we're on and these dope trips that we doing, and how am I going to erase all these pictures if this stuff don't work? You're going to hit delete. That's what you're going to do.
It's pretty much.
I've done it. It's okay. Didn't die. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want you to know, man. When it all falls apart, the relationship is ended. The marriage is ended. Not you. Yeah. You good. You going to be all right. We're gonna give you a moment to yell. We're gonna give you a moment to scream. You can cry. Go to therapy. You can go to therapy. Please go to therapy. Please. Somebody's therapy. Please. You know, if prayer is your thing, get into it. Whatever it is that calms your spirit. Yes. We ask you to get involved in that thing because what we need you to do is find your self base again. We need you to get firm within yourself again, because it's a transition from being so involved with somebody else on a daily basis and then all of a sudden having life to yourself again and putting your own routine back in order. But know that your own voice. Absolutely. But know that you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Tori Strickland presents Weightless, now available on Amazon. So hey man, that was a good one.
I think it was.
I like the information that we got there. I like the things that you talked about.
Mr. One-Sided.
I have no idea what she's talking about. But listen, we want y'all to subscribe to the show. We're on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, you got to subscribe to watch on YouTube. Yes. Make sure you hit the little bell so it'll update you when we upload an episode. Share it with your friends. Yes. You can follow me at 40 Lessons on IG.
Tori Strick on IG.
All right, you know what I'm saying? Also, we are produced by at Shining Starlet Entertainment. She's on IG as well. You also hear about services she can provide. You know, we going to have some sponsors. We are the sponsors right now, but don't worry about that. We going to sponsor ourselves until somebody want to sponsor us. That's how it will happen very soon. See, because you got to build the dream. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So look, man. They will come. Next episode, we're going to be talking about acceptance. We want y'all to be with us next week as we get into acceptance. This Adulting 101 series is what you need. Yes. Trying to help you get your life together so that you don't be out there being vindictive and plotting on people. Petty. I'm not. 1,000. I'm just using examples from the show. And would you do that to somebody who just said that they were vindictive? Would you keep doing that? Listen. There's a lot of lights and camera here, so I feel that I'm safe. But anyway, man, we gonna see y'all next week. Hey, you say it's yours. Let's go get it. I'll talk to you.